or either one?
It was the one and me on the other side. So this is good.
This right?
We do it.
So, boy, girl, boy, girl.
Hi, CPAC. Our mics are working. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. This is a panel on national security. When did World War III start? And what are the threats to the homeland? It's the first of two panels on national security, and I hope you'll join me in welcoming four spectacular presentations today. We will introduce them in a minute, but let's go ahead and have a seat. So buckle your seatbelts, you guys. We have about 34 minutes to talk to you about issues that are concerning to all of us. We're tired of feeling scared. How many people feel like they're tired of being scared? You're tired of the Obama foreign policy and the national security policy. Can I get an amen? Okay, just wanted to check that we're at CPAC here. So my name is Ginny Thomas. I call myself a troublemaker for liberty. You can find me at dailycaller.com on the weekends, where I do long-form interviews of people that give, leaders that give hope, inspiration, and information so that you can be a more prepared citizen and get information apart from the fake media. So find me at dailycaller.com, please. So I want to say that Americans do feel less safe, and we have some proof of that. With John McLaughlin did a poll for Secure America Now, a great group headed by Alan Roth in Manhattan. And he found that polls do show that 88% of Americans say security issues are the most important reason for them to go to vote for president or for the Congress. And so 6 in 10 say they're very important. So that's why we're here today. And I am honored that we're going to start with Sheriff Clarke. We're going to start in reverence for social media that gives us the power beyond the propaganda media to find the truth. And so in order of who has the most Twitter followers, guess who we're starting with? So Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke is... He is a rock star. So he has 557,000 followers on Twitter. And so I hope all of you are following, and if you're not, you need to follow him at Sheriff Clarke with an E on the end. So just make a note of that. That's your first homework. And besides our president, I have to say, I think he's the most authentic and influential voice in our culture and in our politics. He has, amen. He's been in law enforcement for some 39 years, and 5 years ago he was given an award by the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association for demonstrating true leadership and courage, staying true to his oath, true to his badge, and true to the people he has promised to serve and protect. Today he's going to talk about sanctuary cities and how sanctuary cities is an affront to our national sovereignty and keeping Americans safe. Please join me in welcoming Sheriff Clarke.
Thank you very much. I mean, come on now, how cool is this? Right? To be here at CPAC with like-minded individuals that believe in this country, believe in the rule of law, believe in our Constitution, and staying anchored to it. I'd be remiss if I didn't take one brief moment to remind all of you that something you already know: Blue Lives Matter in America. Because we are on the front lines of protecting and enforcing the rule of law. And I want to talk about sanctuary cities briefly here. President Donald Trump has made it very clear that it is high time, it is past time in America that we start aggressively enforcing the rule of law once again in America. Now, recently, the issue of sanctuary cities has dominated the news. You all know what that term means: sanctuary cities, providing safe haven for people who have illegally crossed our borders, come into our country outside of the rules that Congress has set up for immigration. As many of you know, under the Constitution, Article 1, Clause 8, Section 4, I believe it says Congress has the authority to establish rules on naturalization. And the president's job, as you know, is to carry out the rules, the laws that Congress sets forth. So nothing that President Donald Trump is talking about, nothing is not already codified under existing law. If we need immigration reform, that's for the Congress to take out. But until then, the president took an oath. I was there, here, across the Potomac in Washington, D.C., and saw him take that oath. He said he would support the Constitution of the United States and enforce all of the laws, and that's what he's doing here. Now, a couple days ago, President Trump and Secretary Kelly of the Department of Homeland Security issued some new rules regarding the enforcement of immigration, and it employs the help of local law enforcement. Now, many of you know the federal government cannot make states enforce federal law, but they still have to comply with it. Sanctuary cities are havens for criminal activities. Sanctuary cities provide cover, if you will, for criminal illegal aliens to continue to prey on not only law-abiding people, but also illegal immigrants in this country. And here's why they're able to do that with impunity. Because if you are a criminal illegal alien and you rape, rob, whatever, another illegal alien in the country, it's less likely that they're going to report that because they don't want to be discovered to be in the country themselves. So we have a lot of underreporting and unreported serious crimes in America because of sanctuary cities. Now, you'll hear a lot of stuff, right? I mean, in this whole environment we're in, myths, propaganda, whatnot, as it relates to illegal immigration, because that's what we're talking about. But Donald Trump has made it clear as well, President Donald Trump has made it clear that's where he's going to start, the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. Individuals who've been convicted of some very serious crimes here in the United States and then allowed back out onto the streets to re-victimize people once again. It's a catch and release policy. President Trump has said those days are over. And I've made it clear that in helping President Trump get his arms around this serious problem of illegal immigration, that I was going to use the resources that I have as a sheriff in Milwaukee County to help him accomplish that. All right, I have a duty to do that. I have a duty to protect the citizens of Milwaukee County because American citizens come first. All right? So here's how we can end this notion of sanctuary cities. But we got to demonstrate that we have the will to do this. When I say we, I'm talking about Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the White House, and others, and Congress. Here's how we can do it. Remember I said this is already codified in existing law. And I'm going to quickly read that, and that's where I'm going to end. Here's how I would end sanctuary cities. There is a criminal federal statute to violate this law. I'm going to quickly read it. It's real, and it's easy to understand. It says, and I wrote this in thehill.com for those of you who want to go and read the whole article, but it says, I would start with USC 1324, which in part contains criminal sanctions for any person who, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come into, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law, attempts to conceal, which is what sanctuary cities are, attempts to conceal, harbor, or shields from detection, that's what sanctuary cities do, such alien in any place, including any building or subsection, encourages or induces an alien to come to, enter, or reside in the United States. That's what our universities, some of them are doing. Knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that such coming to, entry, or residence is in violation of the law, or engages in any conspiracy to commit any of the preceding acts, aids or abets the commission of any of these preceding acts, shall be fined and imprisoned for up to 5 to 10 years. I'm telling you right now, folks, you charge one mayor, one governor, one council president that adopts these laws, this stuff is going to end right away. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Sheriff. Our next speaker will be the person with the next most Twitter followers. It's Trevor Loudon. Trevor Loudon is on Twitter. Y'all should follow him at the @ New Zeal blog. That's how you find Trevor Loudon, New Zeal blog. And he is from New Zealand, and so he has the cool accent. He has a cool movie out, Enemies Within, and you should all try to find that. And we are pleased that he's with us. He has a unique perspective on keeping America free. And he has been affiliating now, most recently, with Capital Research Center, who has a series of documentaries called America Under Siege, Civil War 2017. Their first piece was on the inauguration and all the paid protesters and domestic subversives that were part of bringing our country down and bringing President Trump to be delegitimized before he even took office. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Trevor Loudon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you all hear me okay? Can you understand the southern accent? Okay. Look, I have a perspective. America, you know, I say this, World War III started about 1400 years ago. And it got a big boost in 1917 with the Bolshevik Revolution. And those two streams, Islam and the Bolsheviks, have never parted company. But I just want to say why I care about the United States and your national security. I come from a little country in the bottom of the South Pacific. And in World War II, our boys were all in North Africa fighting the Nazis. And the Japanese were coming down through the islands. And if it hadn't been for the sacrifice of your fathers and uncles and grandfathers at Guadalcanal and the Coral Sea and Midway, we would have been done. So we have a very strong... So anybody who cares about freedom has to care about the United States, because the United States is the bulwark, is the linchpin that keeps all of the world stable and all of the world free. Now, for the last 8 years, you've had a president who was more interested in aiding your enemies and trashing your allies than any you've had before. So you had the radical left, right? You've got the Muslim Brotherhood operating in this country. You've got the radical left communist groups. And they were looking forward to a Hillary Clinton presidency. They were absolutely excited that she was going to finish off America for them, give them what they wanted, and take this country down. And they are like a bunch of kids who thought they were going to get a bike for Christmas and they got a pair of socks, right? So they are spitting tax. And you have seen the most violent political cycle you've ever seen for many years. You've seen mass protests in Washington, D.C. You've seen riots all over this country. Now, the media will tell you that these are just upset college kids who are worried about the future. They see a fascist looming on the horizon. They see their rights being stripped away. That is all complete garbage, folks. The people behind these movements are professional revolutionaries, hardcore people. Some of them have been in the movement since the Vietnam War. They belong to organizations like the Workers' World Party, the Freedom Road Socialist Organization, the Communist Party USA, and Democratic Socialists of America, which has tripled its membership from 6,000 to more than 15,000 in the last 3 months. These are professional revolutionaries. And they are allied to the Cubans, they're allied to Iran, they're allied to the Palestinian radicals, and some of them are even allied to this day to Putin's Russia. All this stuff about Trump being tied to the Russians. The radical left have never given up on Moscow. The Democratic Party has been in bed with Moscow for more than 50 years, and they have the insolence to accuse Trump of this. But what did Lenin say? What did Alinsky say? Accuse others of what you are doing yourself. Demonize them, fix them, polarize them, spread hatred, tell lies about your opposition. Has anybody seen this in the last few months?
Yes.
So what I'm basically saying is this. We had a miracle, folks. We had Brexit, which was the warm-up, right? And then, against all of the odds, we actually elected a president who cares about the country, right? So the radicals are upset, and they have two purposes. The first is to make this country ungovernable, to slow down the president, to tie him up in court, to create riots on the streets, to make him unpopular. The second reason for these protests is you may not know it, but there are people in the Republican Party who are a little bit squishy, right? I'm not going to name names, but you know who they are.
Yes, we do.
And Donald Trump has got as much problem with some of them as he does with the left, right? So the objective is to make Trump totally unpopular, to stall his agenda and demonize him, because then they will try and impeach him, and they hope to scare so many squishy Republicans that they will come across and vote with the Democrats. That is the plan. Now, we cannot allow that to happen, because if any of you have children or grandchildren, you know this is our last chance to turn this around, folks. We got to take it. So we have to win the battle of public opinion. The media is heavily against the president. Hollywood's against the president. The radical left are against the president. He's got all these forces against him. What we have left are social media, Twitter and Facebook. And we have to be on those things, supporting his agenda and standing against the radicals who seek to take this country down. We have to bring the people on board. And in a couple of years, when the economy's humming, when a lot of these people have been purged out of these government departments, when everything is looking good, those radicals will be defeated. But right now, it is, it's a dangerous time. So I'm asking anybody who cares about America, get on Facebook, get on Twitter, stand up, fight the Muslim Brotherhood, fight the radicals, stand up for American values, and just give it hell, folks. Thank you.
That was great. Our third speaker is Claire Lopez, and she is a rock star. She doesn't have enough Twitter followers, so let me give you your assignment for Claire. She's at Claire M. Lopez, and so everybody should follow her. She's at about 5,800 followers now, so we can do better with her. She has served our country in the CIA for over 20 years. She's now with Frank Gaffney's Center for Security Policy in charge of research and analysis. And she is known for thorough professional presentations. She's put a lot of time and thought into the next 5 or 6 or 7 minutes. And we're doing our best for you to pack this up. And she's briefed a lot of local law enforcement on the red-green axis that is threatening domestic tranquility across the country. Today she'll be discussing civilization jihad. So please join me in welcoming Claire Lopez.
Did I take your water?
Thank you, Ginny, and hello, CPAC. It's great to be here. I'm going to start with something that might surprise you a little bit. We are not fighting terrorism. We are fighting the forces of Islamic Jihad and Sharia to live free of Islamic law, Sharia. We fight to defend the first things principles enshrined in our foundational documents, the Declaration, the Constitution, Bill of Rights. What are first things principles? Individual liberty, equality of all in human dignity and before the law, government by consent of the governed, under rule of man-made law. These things are anathema and even blasphemy to those forces of jihad and Sharia coming against us. Now, you probably have noticed, how could we all not notice, the acceleration in the rate of violent Islamic terror attacks around the world, especially in Western Europe and here at home in the United States. But the main line of effort here in the United States is the civilization jihad, for which the Muslim Brotherhood is the vanguard. What does the Muslim Brotherhood do? How does it pursue that agenda? Through taking aim at the pillars of support of our society: academia, the Muslim Student Association, first Muslim Brotherhood front group founded in the United States, 1963. It is now on campuses all across the country, including in high schools and even in middle schools. It is also not just here. It is up all the way into Canada, where the Muslim Brotherhood also is mounting an offense. Our friends up there are in trouble right now. Our Canadian friends need our help and support. They have a bill pending before their parliament in Ottawa that would condemn and even criminalize Islamophobia. Pillars of support: our courts and our legal system. The Center for Security Policy has produced 2 reports about the incidence of Sharia in U.S. courts already. Faith communities, interfaith dialogue, where the bridge only goes one way, towards Islam. Our government and national security, which are so deeply penetrated by the Muslim Brotherhood. Local law enforcement, and this is a really important one. Muslim Brotherhood and some of its front groups are actually training our local police and sheriff's departments. And some of those police and sheriff's departments are turning around and training local Muslim Brotherhood front groups. How's that going to work out? Media, society in general, the workplace, all of these I would call these the pillars of support of American society. These are how the Muslim Brotherhood insinuates Sharia gradually, stealthily into our society. So what can we do about this? It is an insurgency, and an insurgency is won or lost at the local level, and so will be this one. At the local level, it is all of us. It is we, the people. It is our faith community leaders. It is our local law enforcement that must stand against the insurgency. We can do this, and an informed, engaged, and patriotic citizenry, like all of us here today, is the very best defense to keep America as great as the Founding Fathers ever envisioned it to be. Thank you.
Our next and our last speaker is Maureen Olhausen. She is the acting chairman of the FTC. Of course, there's only 2 members of the FTC right now out of 5, but she has been appointed by President Trump as the acting chairman of the FTC. She joins us from the FTC, where they are the people watching out for consumer protection and privacy and intellectual property rights. And she has been at the FTC for a lot of her professional career, and she's also been a clerk at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit for a great friend and a great judge, David Sintel. Please join me in welcoming Maureen Olhausen.
Well, thank you, Ginny. I'm delighted to be here. This is actually my 3rd time at CPAC, so it's very exciting. What a year, what a lot of energy that we're seeing this year. So I'm here to talk to you about something that may sound a little bit dry compared to what my co-panelists have been talking about, but it's no less important to the strength of the U.S., and that is intellectual property rights. So as conservatives, we are believers in the value of property rights. And intellectual property rights have the same kind of impact and importance in our economy and in our society as do protections of physical property rights. And what you may not recall is that intellectual property rights are actually mentioned and protected in the Constitution. And so one of my concerns that I've seen during my time at the Federal Trade Commission during the Obama administration has been this idea that, well, maybe intellectual property rights or property rights in general really should be sort of devalued. Maybe we should allow people to say, well, we would like to use those too, and it's not fair for the inventor or fair for the property owner to say, well, you know, you need my permission to use that. And oftentimes people said to me, well, your belief in property rights is just faith-based, right? There's no evidence that property rights do the things that you believe that they do to support innovation, to support competition and economic growth in the U.S. So I said, I bet there's some evidence out there. And I actually did a very comprehensive study and looked at all the evidence that I could find about the connection between intellectual property rights, the protection of them, and innovation as measured by investment in R&D. And I found there was ample evidence showing the important connection between protecting intellectual property rights and allowing innovation to flourish and competition to grow in the U.S. Now you may say, well, okay, that's all well and good, but what does that really mean in the day-to-day work at the Federal Trade Commission? Well, one of my big concerns is that this push to devalue intellectual property rights in the U.S. has had an impact on our economy here in the U.S. The willingness of people to invest in new ventures and to come up with new ideas and to popularize them, and that's bad enough in the U.S. But the problem is this has encouraged regimes around the world who want to take American intellectual property without proper payment. And they feel empowered by what they've seen in the U.S., what we've been doing here, to say, well, boy, that intellectual property, it looks pretty good. We want to use it, but we don't want to pay for it. Or we only want to pay an amount that's good for our businesses around the world. And this is particularly a problem in regimes like China, where they do a lot of manufacturing, but they don't necessarily do a lot of inventing. So they want to use our property rights without the proper payment. So I'm here today to encourage people to pay attention to intellectual property and the protection of it. One other thing Ginny mentioned is that the Federal Trade Commission, we are also charged with protecting consumers, and particularly consumers' data. And I don't know about you, but I was a victim of the OPM data breach. So my data, which I had surrendered to the government as a government employee, and the data of people who had provided references for me were breached and went out to a foreign power. And it's being used for who knows what purpose. So at the Federal Trade Commission, we have focused on encouraging entities, government, but particularly private entities, to safeguard American consumers' data. Because when we talk about being under attack, Our companies and our information in the U.S. is under constant attack from around the world of bad actors who want to get that data and they want to use it in a way that can hurt Americans, hurt American consumers. So that's one thing we've been doing at the Federal Trade Commission, is encouraging companies and requiring companies to take steps to protect your data against these threats that are occurring around the world. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to continuing this good fight.
Well, thank you very much, Maureen. We're certainly glad that you're in the government and you're watching out for us. I should have given you your other assignment for watching Maureen Olhausen is at MOHL Hausen, Hausen, FTC. So you can find her on Twitter and follow her. And we're almost out of time, so I want to ask our panelists if they have any last-minute action items or resources that they want to share with all these citizen activists.
Get in the fight, ladies and gentlemen. Get in the fight. We cannot sit on our hands. It's going to be a fight all the way. It's going to be a fight every day. I'm up for it. Are you?
Claire?
I can't say it any better than the sheriff just said it, but if you would like to take a look at the Center for Securitypolicy.org or securefreedom.org, you will find a lot of resources on the subjects that I talked about today. Thank you so much for being here.
Trevor?
Yeah, look, I hate to push my own barrow, but I've got a movie out now called The Enemies Within. Go to enemieswithinmovie.com. It details the huge penetration of your Congress and Senate by radical, hardcore anti-American elements. We say there's at least 100 of them that couldn't pass an FBI background check to drive a school bus. And Claire's in the movie. She does a great job. But in the fight, this isn't just America that's at stake here, folks. This is the whole Western world. I don't want to put a responsibility trip on you, but it all depends on you, okay?
Maureen?
No pressure.
And many of the resources that I was talking about are on my speech page at ftc.gov. And resources to protect your data and for companies and for individuals how to take steps to protect their data are also on that website.
Let me just say to all of you listening, if you're interested in this subject, there will be part 2 of When Did World War III Begin with the foreign threats tomorrow at 8:30, same in the morning, same place, and Gordon Chang will be moderating. Thank you for your time and thank you for protecting liberty.